See, I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls. There's rappers pushing Xanax to the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gang bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans and they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say is homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got Me Too or the rapists. They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we can't be free cause we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play for people to make teams that use the media to feed the flame. They saw the fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings.
I can't even say it in the right order now. We are. I don't know if you paid attention last week while you were doing your father thing.
I was being a dad.
I changed the name of the show on Facebook, but they gave me a problem first. So I changed it initially to It's the Whiskey Rebellion, formerly known as,
Right.
Conservative Parents with Little Kids.
Yeah.
And they rejected it.
And
So I said, I changed it to Conservative Parents with Little Kids, now known as the Whiskey Rebellion. That's fine with them. Is there any difference other than the order? But this is Facebook.
Mark doesn't describe it. He doesn't discuss these matters.
Anyway, but that's who we are. We are really the Whiskey Rebellion.
We are.
And why are we the Whiskey Rebellion?
Why do you always ask me this question? I'm not prepared.
Say something about George Washington, the liquor, and just wrap it all up.
Oh, yeah. So, come on, because our audience is bored. She already knows this.
Well, I've advertised to another audience.
Oh, a new audience?
Maybe two.
Oh.
Hello out there.
We got our name from a former rebellion from the late 1700s during the first term of George Washington, where the residents of Western PA fought back against the United States government's right to issue taxes. And it was called the Whiskey Rebellion because they were taxing whiskey. And so they fought back. And the United States government put it down, but it took them a few years. It took them about 4 years, but it was open and closed during the first administration. Anyway, we came up with that idea because we support the grassroots efforts of people to be able to challenge their government. And since we like to drink a lot, we thought Whiskey Rebellion was a great term, and so we not only talk politics and cultural issues and topics of the day, we also snap open a new bottle of something, and we taste it, and we rate it, and then we have conversation.
All right, so we're going to introduce ourselves first, or
Yes.
Let's do order.
Yeah, we've established that. Oh, we're back. We introduce ourselves, and then we...
Who am I? Why am I here?
Who am I?
I'm Richard Myers, of the Myers Firm, PA. I am an attorney. My practice is largely devoted to representing a spouse in a very difficult divorce. Usually a difficult divorce would mean that one spouse is abusing the other or has mental illness or an addiction or something like that that's affecting custody. And so I can handle those kind of problems. I partner up with a firm called Tampa Mediations. Her name is Brenda Baeto. Shout out to you. I also do general civil stuff, mostly employment discrimination stuff. I used to do that for much longer than I do the family law stuff, but I'm concentrating on family law. Either way, you can look me up at www.myersfirm.com. That's M-U-I-E-R-S for Myers. And you can reach me at 985-6550. That's area code 813. For my office line, my direct line is 813-477-2623. Jason.
And I'm Jason Ricardo of the law firm of Ricardo & Moslick, where we protect consumers against claims of debt collection and foreclosure. You can reach us at 352-567-3173 or email me at jason@ricardolaw.com, or you can find us on the web at ricardolaw.com.
And we're going to start off tasting another whiskey today.
Yes, today. So we switched up a little bit after the really crappy Grant Scotch we had a couple weeks ago. I thought we'd...
No, there's a fan out there.
And we have one fan.
We have one fan out there.
Yeah. But I brought today my favorite sipping rum. It's actually one of my favorite sipping drinks of all time. It's called Papa Pilar. It's a dark rum. It's actually distilled in Key West. And
so you can go upset me when I shoot it.
Why do you ever shoot this?
It's definitely sipping rum.
Beautiful. Feel the heft of that cap.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's heft.
It's hefty. Hefty. All right, I'm going to give you a shot, but you better not shoot it.
Ooh, you wasted some.
I'll look at it later.
Whoa!
I'm going to clean that coat off first. Oh my God, what is going on here? Oh, I know exactly what's going on here. That's how I got in the way.
Do we rate this among rums or just our taste? Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it was.
You already tried it?
No.
You smelled it?
Okay,
Smelled it.
smell it first. It's a great smell. You sure you don't want any else?
I actually smelled it right.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so anyway, this is a sipping rum. It's made in Key West. It acts like an aged drink. You wouldn't really put this in a daiquiri. This is something that you would treat like an aged bourbon. And it's dark. You can see there's no flavoring added. Although if you taste it, you'll have notes of different things. Usually vanilla and those types of fall type of spice things. Oh, I didn't do that, did I? And here's my favorite. Smile. There we go. Papa Pilar, Key West. Beautiful. Let's taste.
Is it good as you remember?
Yeah, it's excellent. It's very smooth. It's better than the Grants.
Wow, I don't know about that.
What? I'm not going to be friends with you anymore.
What? The incredulous what? But you said if you sip it a second time,
It's always the second time, yes. You give it the second taste. You gotta let you taste first. Let the shock hit your taste buds. Then you have a second taste where you guys are here. And you guys are
can't wait for our ratings.
babies. Oh my God.
Is it too hard?
Is it too hot? What is it?
I think it's got a little burn. It's not as bad as that one that we had.
The Grants.
No.
The Ragged Branch. That was terrible stuff right there. You're right.
You sure you don't want to participate in this?
Yeah, I don't know if
We have a guest. We have a guest.
We do have a guest. Well, he's a guest owner.
Yeah. And Alf, chime in. Is the mic on? No.
Not on.
I'm going to turn the mic on, but then you got to tell them who the real owner is.
Circle's the one that owns this joint. I'm just here as color commentary.
That's right.
And that was the extent of it, folks.
That's it.
Well, he's
Let's use the camera from time to time.
Yeah, you can try.
he's your better looking twin brother, right?
Nah, not at all. He's got no facial hair.
I know your brothers. Are you really twins?
No,
Oh, okay. I was like,
I'm the older.
you said
Jason,
I'm
think about
the
that.
one.
I don't know, they only have a sip and they're already confused.
309.
Just call me Joe Biden.
He doesn't need any.
Who am I? Where am I?
Alright, so you ready to rate this? Who goes first this
You
week?
guys are acting like a bunch of babies.
I don't know. It's just not.
It's one of those things you have to drink with a cigar in your
I'd say the last two sips were better than the first, but
You guys are so terrible.
I don't know. Actually, the third sip was better than the second, so maybe by the time we get to the bottom of this little thimble.
I'm glad you brought your. Did you bring Grants or what do you have in there?
No, I have my usual
Screwball.
screwball. Although the hard truth is so much better
Oh,
than
the hard truth?
No, I brought the screwball.
I don't know what you do with that, though. If you have rum chai, you mix it together, it tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal.
The Fireball.
Toast Crunch, not the screwball.
Sure.
Yeah, screwball's peanut butter. You want some of that?
No.
He's talking about Fireball.
You want some of that? Okay. The fourth sip was better than the third.
Fireball, give us a number.
On a scale of what's what? 10?
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10.
I'll be honest with you, every sip got better than the last, so I'm trusting you now. When I never trusted you before.
That's true.
Okay. Alright, but now I have to debate everything against flavored grants, right?
Just use your own subjective feelings and against grants.
Alright, just as a drink.
Everything's better
As a drink. I'll give it a 7-7.
Okay. That's fair. That's above ground.
Serge,
Give it another taste there, Serge.
we don't want that air.
That air. Come on.
Just take one more taste.
Wow, JP Morgan Chase and Wells both messed up.
Don't be swayed by my rating. I don't think he
I'm
will.
going to go with a 7.
Really? Okay, I'm disappointed. You don't like it? Is it? It's not really.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's only 86 proof, so
It
it's
just
not
for
like
some
crazy.
reason has a cough syrup vibe to
A
it.
little bit.
Really?
A little bit.
Yeah, but
Like a castor oil.
Wow.
Repressed childhood.
You're killing me. Like, okay, so one of my favorite of all time drinks is Jägermeister. So,
Is that your standard?
Yeah, because I love NyQuil. That's like,
I used to drink Jaeger by the bottle.
I love Jaeger.
Jägermeister just brings the
This
girl
is
down.
my favorite of all sippings. There are a couple bourbons I like around this, maybe a little better.
Do you drink it neat normally, or do you boil?
I almost drink everything neat. Yeah,
Okay.
very rarely. I will drink cocktails but I like what we call alcohol-forward cocktails, like Sazerac. I'm less likely to like Sazerac is mostly all alcohol, different flavors
Okay.
in there. We'll come back and make you a Sazerac sometime.
Okay.
It has absinthe in it.
Is that one of those where it's sitting on the porch
Because
in
that
the
makes my
sun?
heart grow fond.
It's not a minty one.
With
It's
glass.
not a mint julep.
Yeah.
No, it's not a mint julep.
Watching the sunset.
I like watching the sunset. But here we go. I'm going to go, because I know this is my favorite, and I drink this a lot.
It's got to go over 9.
It's a 9.2.
Yeah, I figured. So, but is it based on a Jaeger scale where Jaeger's your 10? What's your favorite?
Ooh, Jaeger's like 22.1. Come on. I tease. I just do like Jaeger. So I then like I like herbally flavored alcohols, Jägermeister, Drambuie, Absinthe, Herb Saint.
It's just heartburning when you say that.
Sipper.
Where are you at on the Goldschlager scale?
I've only had Goldschlager once in my life, by the way. And thankfully never had to throw it up.
I only had one experience and I'll never do it again.
Yeah,
Never.
Goldschlager
That's
was
a story I will not share. One of the few stories I will not share on the air.
Let's not do that.
I'll just leave the audience wondering what it is.
Also,
There's plenty of
Jill will be very happy you guys don't like it because I'm going to bring home the bottle and she will be happy. I know what she's having for dessert.
What? Didn't I get? Wasn't a 7-7 worthy of me taking it home?
Oh, no.
Not if I called it castor oil.
Yeah, castor oil is all right. I think our audience is getting bored at this point.
Let's talk about the party.
Let's talk about the party. So, during Biden's most recent speech, wasn't it Thursday night? And he said he was going to look at the restrictions and whether or not we'll be able to have a party on Passover, on 4th of July, on Independence Day. I had a cow. I mean, literally, moo.
Not literally, based on
Oh, I did. I literally
in my bed. You literally had a cow.
No, literally. That's why I said moo. It's funny. Okay, I wasn't literally figuratively had a cow. Alright, so I had this idea. So I had, and it's a fair observation, but I was being tongue in cheek. And
You bastard. That's what you want to say.
bastard. So anyway, I had this idea we should have a big FU party to Joe Biden.
Yes.
And I was like, we should have a freedom of assembly party where it's essentially bring your freedom of speech in a covered dish, baby. You can come to my house. And on 4th of July, we're going to have a blowout. We'll have a band.
Yeah.
We'll have, I don't know, a couple thousand people in the yard.
I hope.
Yeah. I'm going to close the pool down, though, because I don't trust y'all.
We gotta trust you guys. The parking.
Just make sure that there's social distancing.
Because you need to broadcast the show.
There will be no masks allowed. In fact, you'll have to. There'll be a mask receptacle as you walk.
Is July 4th on Monday?
I don't know if it's a day off. No. It's a day off. I think it is though.
You don't want it to be middle of the week for certain, though.
St. Patty's Day is on Wednesday, so.
Already eating that one up.
Yeah, I actually had that day off. Oddly enough. The same day my jacket.
It is Sunday.
It was
The
Go
worst.
down. No. Why is it the worst?
What day is it?
Sunday.
Sunday.
What, you have to report to work at
I
7
got other shows.
And not at 7 in the morning.
What about
Oh,
Saturday?
on Sunday.
No. The studio's closing on Sunday. That's Sunday.
July 4th.
Yeah.
Bring the shows to Jason's house. Freedom
Yeah,
of
we're going to
Assembly.
have freedom of, I like that, though. Freedom of Assembly Party.
That's what it is.
That's what it's about.
That's what we're calling it. Because the reaction that many Americans had to, like, oh, the president's allowing us to gather with a small group of family members around a barbecue.
That's the thing about the vaccine.
I ain't ever getting the
What are you doing
vaccine.
now? We are 4 people in a studio. Are you vaccinated?
Absolutely.
You are not.
Yeah, I got my MMR a long time ago.
Yeah. You got rubella.
See, as kids, we drank the hoses, the water hoses.
Are you even concerned about getting vaccinated for COVID?
I'm not doing that.
Okay. Now, are you like in the Geno category? Like we're all lemmings and
I don't trust the vaccine.
it's
That's
probably
wait the rest of
poison.
the year.
Okay.
Yeah, my
sure
family,
family-
we're concerned. I don't want to say it's all me, but my wife and I, we talk about this all the time, and we are not anti-vaxxers. We're not vax fans. We've always been worried in general. We're vax skeptical. We're worried about. We are truly worried, and have long been, long before the COVID, concerned about the effect and the cause of vaccines, vaccinations, and modern medicine on causing autism. And with having kids, right now, knock on wood, I don't know that I have any children on the
But you know that's been
spectrum.
disproven, right?
They keep saying that, but I don't believe it. I mean, why all of a sudden is everybody got that? No,
That's your sign.
Everyone says,
It's like, well,
okay, no, I have. I ain't got no proof. I don't need no damn proof. Because we've been told, I think once upon a time, doctors try to say, hey, you should have a smoke every once in a while, relax a little.
and that's your.
It is a concern. It is a concern. I did not say vaccinations cause that. Anyway, you didn't let me finish. You interrupted me. I said we've long been vaccine skeptics. The fact that these have been created so quickly, when we don't know what their long-term effects are, and when you have children, I'm not worried about whether or not I'm going to become sterile. God, the world probably needs me to become sterile, but I can't give my kids something. Hey. I can't give my kids something that could cause them something long-term, that could cause some long-term adverse effect that would not only be unpredictable, but really life-changing.
But do you apply this in any other segment of your life when you try a new food that's got an additive in it? Do you have no idea what you're eating? Or, it's just.
Well, I don't usually eat aborted babies, but
Not usually.
not usually.
Sometimes you're right. In between meals.
Can we circle back? I want to do a little Genesaki for you.
Sure.
Can we circle back? Can you just do me a favor? Just take your shot, just smell it for me. Just smell it.
Nothing.
Oh, smell it anyway.
Yeah.
Like a caramely kind of.
Yeah, it's like syrup.
Okay, and the reason why I want to have
A
a
little
little
maple syrup.
Yeah, it does maple. That's a great one. Maple syrup. So I wanted to circle back just to touch on that. There are absolutely no additives in this. This is not a spiced rum. This is a rum that is aged in bourbon barrels. And so everything you're tasting out of that are flavors that have been extracted out of the staves of the barrels. So they must be bourbon barrels, and they must have once been used at least once by bourbon. So what happens is, so you've got leftover bourbon in there in the barrels, and then this. Do you know how we kind of talked about how barrels work and the aging process?
Well, you did.
So over time, with the heat and the cooling of wherever the regions where you're at, it goes in and out. The liquid goes into the wood and extract in and out over time. So it kind of pulls it out of the flavors. And the barrels are white oak and they're charred. So you're getting the wood, you're getting the char, you're getting the alcohol, you're just getting all that. So over time, this is what you're smelling. So this is one of the reasons why, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a nerd about this, but I want to take...
So we mentioned party like 20 minutes ago.
We're definitely partying. I'll bring the Pilar. What are you bringing? The one-day-old screwball? I'm bringing the 50-year-old Pilar. Anyway, joking, it's not 50, it's a joke.
It's not one night. It's been in my fridge for at least 5 days.
At least.
And I'm going to add some Jeff to it. No, but what I was going to say was the reason why higher-aged bourbons are more expensive. First of all, as bourbon and other alcohols are aged, there's evaporation, so there's less volume, so it costs more. Second of all, it has more flavoring, and so a higher aged dark liquor, has more flavor, and that's why when you smell it, you smell those flavors. Those are all natural.
All right, so first of all, how did you ever get a bottle of this? Was it given as a gift?
No.
Did you join a club? Did you drink enough whiskey that eventually you drank every whiskey and rum there ever was?
I joined a cult. No. Okay, so Jill and I took a little vacation to Key West with the family, and we just happened to go on a tour of the distillery down there, and we just fell in love with it. Now it started in Key West. They brew some of it, they distill some of it in Key West, but they actually now distill the bulk of it in Lakeland.
I just was reading that.
Yeah, and the reason why it's a great story, I wanted to tell you that because I know you like Lakeland, is in order. She's not looking at you. Actually, when you went out of the screen, and I saw you. She didn't see you, I saw you. So there's this thing. So in order for you to sell your alcohol that you distill in the state of Florida, the lot that you distill must go to Tallahassee to get inspected, and then you can sell it. Well, as you can imagine, Key West is way far away, and it must go by the only means probable, or practical rather, is it needs to be shipped by boat. No, by tractor trailer. So they now distill it in Lakeland. They have a huge distillery and warehouse here in Lakeland.
So where exactly in Lakeland?
I don't know. I haven't been there yet.
Oh,
I've never been there, but maybe we should make a road trip. But the one I've been to is in Key West.
I'm a frequent visitor to Lakeland.
And you are.
So
as am I.
I would like to look that up.
All right, I'll tell Joe.
And boy,
They have a blonde
casserole.
I thought you were my friend.
I have a cry break. I gave it a 7.7. Come on.
You did.
I appreciate that. I'm just joshing.
I know you are.
Because you're really into it.
I just like it.
No, but you know so much about it.
I don't know that much about it.
But in a way,
I'm
I'm jealous of how much you like it, because I know when I like something and I want to describe it to somebody else, like, why don't you like it?
Why this is the best meatball ever? We're going to eat this.
Right, yeah. So I get it. Not necessarily meatball.
You're a meatball. Get out of here.
Would you kindly pour me another one? Because my hands are busy.
No, you just like making me do that.
It's power.
It's power. Whatever.
Do I set this one? Or can I just down it?
Do whatever you want. If you suck that down to your dork.
Let's magnify the idea. I do like the idea. Let's expound on it. How are we going to get entertainment?
Sure.
Are we going to have someone broadcasting? Serge, you're really good at this stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know.
I had a couple ideas. I'd love to do something like with Flow Ohio. I would love to see something ramp up in that regard. And by the way, we could do it on 4th of July, the day. That's fine with me, and I think that's great. It's my original idea. But if we need to do it on a different day for various reasons, I think as long as it's a thumb in the eye,
You wanted to do
established.
because you told me before the show, like during the week, and you came up with this idea. Press releases.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I could imagine.
Try to get an artist or two.
I could imagine.
I know Gino would perform.
Gino, that's what I said.
Gino could open for,
The band.
oh,
Don't say Tom McDonald.
yeah.
Because he just ranted against it this morning. That was one of his best rants.
That would be
He
hilarious.
ranted against what? Who? Oh, Gino did?
No, he says Tom McDonald's good in his own right. But so many black artists have done this very thing that he's doing that don't get recognized.
Oh, well,
for breaking new ground, and he's getting recognized for breaking all this new ground.
I would love to have that conversation with Gino. Gino was like my first experience with somebody who actually, well, he's an artist, but I've not heard his music, so it's not fair. But
yes, you have. We're taking break. You have it. Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, I'm exposed to him to the extent that I understand his stuff. I've heard some stuff. We're all on the same wavelength. I love Gino. I think he's right there.
Yeah, Gino, he's listening to you, but he doesn't understand you.
No, that's what I said.
What is going on out there?
I don't know what's going on. They're power washing.
We're power washing.
So anyway, as I was going to say, so Tom McDonald, I think the point is that he is, there may be other artists, whether they're black, brown, purple, white, I don't know, that may have broken this ground and done things. There is an anti-establishment bite to Tom McDonald, and to the extent that Gino
timing was right too for it.
There is timing. I mean, Tom McDonald 5 years ago doesn't make any sense to anybody. He breaks, and then he gets put on. I saw him on Tucker. Okay, so Tucker, I think it was Tucker. Maybe it was Gutfeld. Don't know. One of the shows that the mothership told me to watch showed it, and then I was instantly hooked. I said, I have to watch him because he's white. Yeah, and he has tattoos.
Okay.
He looks insane. I'm just joking.
For all these people that's real at one back.
Anyway, my point is, to the extent that there might be others, they have just gotten exposure. I don't believe it's white privilege. I just believe it's just the timing, and sometimes that's what happens.
Well, Gino, if you're listening, you should call in to debate Jason. He doesn't have to be here.
It doesn't have to be a debate. I mean,
no, a discussion. Anything like it doesn't have to be an argument or anything.
I mean, I respect Gino.
Plus, we want to get involved in your wife's charity. I mean, really do. I really do. I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah. Beyond that itself, I think Gino is a very smart, free-thinking individual, and we don't have to agree on every single thing. And I think it's good to have alternate views. I like to come at every issue from a different angle, and I think that's what's important. That's why the last show was so great, because you had liberal kids, and you're obviously broken, and I don't have liberal kids, and I'm clearly not.
I agree. That was the whole reason why I have a show. I felt like, I let there be free thinkers.
Yeah.
You indoctrinate.
Good job.
So that's the difference.
Good job, Dr. Seuss or Dr. Spock.
Don't let your kids ever think of the other side of the argument.
Never.
Nobody always actually, I'm really jealous about it.
The reality is that I can see, I think, here's the problem that we have as a society. Liberalism is attractive. You know why it is? And we know this because we've been told by our betters that it's easy. Rush Limbaugh says this, God rest his soul. But the reality is that being liberal is easy. Who doesn't want everyone to be awesome? Who doesn't want everyone to have money? Who doesn't want everyone to drive a Ferrari? I mean, we all want that. But it's not practical. Until we, until there is... I don't know that communism on its face works if we had unlimited wealth, but we don't have unlimited wealth. So when you average out everybody, we can all be poor, or we can have winners and losers. But we can't all be rich. There isn't enough. You can print all the money in the world, you're still going to run out of gold. You're still going to run out of things.
You can print all the stimulus checks in the world.
It's got to go away. It's somewhere it has to break.
It's not going to make Alf any better.
That's why taking. But it's my biggest problem with this when we went off the gold standard. And I know that's an old.
Oh my God!
But going off the gold standard, the reason why the gold standard that meant something. everything was backed by a piece of gold. It isn't anymore. Now it's just backed on the good faith and goodwill of our country.
What is, totally to go on a tangent, what is our country's plan to get out of debt? How is it ever going to happen?
There is no plan.
I don't think
How can it ever happen?
I don't know. Is there a hidden gold mine that we're going to hit and just want to even it all out? Are we just going to send ships of gold over to China in about 50 years? I don't know. I don't understand. I wonder if we're trying to weigh out the clock and hope that China implodes.
Well, that's not going to happen.
I'm not saying it happened. No. I don't. But I'm just saying, what if China did implode? If China imploded and our debt to China evaporated, we could wipe it all out. Still hate it. Go get your
I have to. What if I mixed it?
I'm going to clutch my pearls.
I'm going to come next week with a story about how screwball is just, it oozes out of the barrels. It's
Next week is Screwball Week. You bring it.
well, I got it.
Yeah, but that's next week.
No, we should do a variety of peanut butter whiskeys.
Okay.
And do a taste test. And you tell me which one you like of the peanut butter flavors.
Yeah, we did it dinner Sunday. I'm not. I said, okay. Who are you? I said, okay.
Do we have to? Do we really have to?
Do you have a shirt?
If we were to do a taste test of anything alcoholic, what would it be?
I don't know. What do you think about that?
You know what? For Surge, one week we should do a High Line tasting. What is your favorite? I know you like High Line.
Always good.
Pale Ale. So you like the bite? Okay, interesting. So one of the reasons why I don't like
I like the alcohol content. It's like 7% of it.
What about 8-Ball?
Never had that.
Oh God.
But you don't like the dark beers, or even like Guinnesses and the stouts and stuff like that. No.
I drink to get drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of tasting.
Really? But then why? Okay. But why do you say High Line?
Because it's 7%, man. I think it should. Might even be 8%.
But High Line's one of the most expensive beers in the case.
But he drinks it for the effect.
Yeah, you drink 2 of them, you're good.
No.
Okay.
But you don't stop at 2.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. I go to 3 and then it gets weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been paying close attention, really.
Yeah.
How much you drink.
I do too. That's it.
Okay. He runs the board effectively.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. That's an interesting.
Back to the party. You've been thinking about it.
Party.
Tell the people who want to come what kind of, you have a perfect party house.
You do. I think I have a good piece of property that, because I've got, that's a little bit more than an acre, and I've got really 2 yards. I've got a north yard that's, and then I've got a south yard. The south yard is where the stage is and the pool is, and I think we could easily put entertainment down there.
Let's do it.
And it's all fenced in.
How many chairs do you need?
I think it's BYOC. You know what I mean?
Okay.
What do you think?
What, chairs or
But if they
lounges?
bring the B, they bring their BYOB, they have to leave the B.
No.
What?
No.
That's your rule. No, you have to leave the B. And then
If it becomes communal, but you don't understand that's the linchpin of it. If it becomes communal, if I bring my own thing that's sitting in my own pocket of my lounge chair, and I'm drinking it,
Oh, and I have a fire pit where we can. I have a fairly large fire pit where we can roast something.
Okay, let's do that.
Roast goose, roast beast, hot dogs, hamburgers, steaks, steak on a stick, chicken, kebabs.
Ostrich.
Definitely ostrich.
I saw a video.
there's nothing like an American celebration of freedom than cooking an ostrich.
Ooh, we're going to get a great big giant American flag hanging right down. Maybe we can get the fire department to bring their 2 hook and ladders and we'll hang right across them.
You're full of ideas.
So American.
How friendly are you?
And next we'll get a Trump flag.
This is
We'll invite Trump!
No, let's get an acquittal
might show
2025
up.
flag. I really want to do this. Acquittal 2025.
Show up.
He might show up.
Come. It's not a MAGA party. I'm doing such a MAGA is American. We're talking about pushing back against the man. Okay, not the man, but you know,
we should be more free than we're being led to believe. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? Everyone that I had the opportunity to hear respond to, their visceral response is, who the hell do you think you are to tell me who I can and can't have in my home? And that's the big, I don't want to use the explicit words, but that's the big F you.
But did you see Tucker play the video clips of all the mainstream media?
Oh, yeah.
Applauding that part of the speech. Like, oh my God, he's giving us, like a goal and objective that's we can be normal again.
Yes, but you notice all those guys are from MSNBC and CNN, and really nobody watches them. I think we need to kind of back up a little bit. The COVID has split us in so many ways, and you know this. You have friends like this, Serge. I imagine you do. I don't know if you do, but when you
have to begin with a circle of friends that have that job.
When you have friends, but you have people that buy and tote the line that, oh my God, I can't leave the house. And then you have friends who are like, Gino who are like, F you, I'm not wearing my mask. Now, I'm closer to the Gino edge. I do wear my mask out in public because I feel it's respectful. I don't wear my mask in Walmart because I'm afraid. I wear my mask, and I don't even wear it because I'm afraid of getting in trouble. I wear it because I think it's respectful. These are strangers. They don't know me, and I don't want them to think that I'm disrespectful of them. But I don't wear it because I'm afraid.
Right there. What I'm afraid of, that we've been so trained to accept mask wearing, is that there's going to be a large segment of people who, although maybe inoculated or otherwise had their antibodies been exposed before, for whatever reason they basically can't transmit it or get it, that they don't want to make their fellow human being feel uncomfortable around them, so they'll still mask.
Yeah, I think we'll get to the point where that's going to end.
Well, I just think that prolongs our feeling that we're not free. Right, so that's
okay. So
why are we getting inoculations if we're not immediately saying it's always send your second inoculation?
Well, we're going to let you know what you can do once. Yeah, when Biden said that the other night, that was insulting. We're going to think about what it is that we can let you do once everyone's been vaccinated. What? The whole point was get vaccinated, and you can you still need to wear your mask. You still can't be around your grandkids. You still can't. What? What's the point of that? Now, I want to share.
Biden should lead by example. He was one of the first people to get his inoculations, right? So why isn't he saying, "Look, I'm roaming free. I don't have to wear it"? That's what bothers me too. It's like, okay, if you're going to be a leader and you're saying inoculations are great,
I think
and that's where we want to end up as a country.
I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I do believe, and just like almost every time there's categories of people that respond. They might respond similarly, but they do for different reasons. Biden is either truly afraid, or Biden is buying into and asserting power. And it's the power grab. I don't fear the legitimate people who are truly scared. I fear the people who know there's no fear, but are using it for power, and they're manipulating. It's the same thing we've talked about. It's incessant in our media right now. It's incessant in our social media. The reason why Trump lost was because for the last 4 and 5 years, they've been scaring everybody about him. People didn't vote on Trump based upon a valid up or down vote. They've been hearing no all this time, and they're like, okay, so do you like the dunce in the corner or not? And you're like, yeah, peer pressure. I don't like him. Nobody likes him, so I don't like him either. It's kind of like a peer pressure thing.
Not that I want to argue with you on this.
Please.
But at the moment you cast a vote, it's a private thing. So this peer pressure on you cast
No, it's not. It's not peer pressure to worry about what other people think of me. It's peer pressure to think of what is right. Okay. I've been told that okay, here's my point.
Well,
okay. We've kind of chatted about this. I'll try to be quick about it without being disrespectful to my own ideas. So there's lots of different people on the spectrum. You've got your dyed in the wool. Let's talk about Trump. We'll use Trump because it's an easy example, okay? Even though he's off the scene right now. Trump, you hate him because you're afraid of him because you think he is the devil, okay? There are those people. Then there are the, I'm liberal, he's conservative, I don't like him, I'm not voting for him because of his policies. Then you've got the people in the middle who are like, I don't really know, I don't really think, I don't really care. Then you've got the Republicans who are, I'm conservative, I'm voting for Trump because there's nobody on the spectrum who's going to do what I want more than Trump. Trump is my only choice. And then you've got the Trumpites who are like, Trump is God, there's nothing he can do wrong, and that, right? It's the people in the middle who are always easily swayed. So you're going to have people who are, some of those people who are never going to vote. You're going to have some people who are going to hear lies and accept those lies. And they're like, oh, he really is bad, I'm voting against him. But there's this set. And this is the set that I really think turns the election. It's the set that I actually despise the most. Out of everybody on that spectrum, the people I dislike the most are the people who can't think for themselves and say, let's just get rid of him because at least we can go back to normal. They're not voting on any position. They're not voting for any of their particular feelings. They are only voting for what they think will be the calming effect. So they sway to Biden because guess what? Grandpa Joe is normal. Look at what he is doing. Is he normal? Is what he's doing anything related to even what Jimmy Carter would have done?
You're getting inflamed.
Why am I showing someone?
Yeah.
My cheeks flaring?
It's the PR.
No, but you see what I'm saying? So it's those people. Look, I don't like the surges of the world. I know he didn't vote for Trump. I know he doesn't like Trump, but he's got good. But his reason, hold on. But Serge is weird. But hold on. But I can say this: Serge didn't vote for Trump. He didn't like Trump. I respect Serge's opinions and his positions, and I want to help find a solution, a compromise between someone like me and Serge. The people you can't fix are the people who are going to be dissuaded for illogical reasons.
Right.
Those are the people.
But they've always existed.
Yes, but we're not talking. But we can't. But I don't lump everybody who didn't vote for Trump in the same spot. I believe that every one of those people have legitimate places. I have friends who don't like Trump. I'm fine with that. I don't care. You don't bother me if you don't like Trump. It's the people in the middle who can't be bothered, who vote in a way that have transformed this country because they think we're going back to normal. And since the inauguration, January 20, we are nothing. We're nothing even close to
raises an
normal.
interesting whole new subject, okay, that's sometimes come up in certain circles, which is, should we have some sort of
Poll tax? No, I'm just kidding.
no, I think some sort of basic training,
Civics.
a civics, like you gotta have a level of knowledge of civics and current events, like everything mixed in, for you to qualify to cast what people say is an inalienable right, like for your freedoms are based on your vote. So, but do you believe that there should be some sort of
Litmus test to
vote?
No, I don't.
Then how do you fix that very problem you don't like?
Education. And more something else. We have, those people in the middle have always existed. They're not new. But now, social media can attach them and attack them like they've never been able to before.
So education would be deprogramming of the social media impact? What would you
No, deprogramming, please don't use that word. No, it's not education. I guess education is the wrong word. And I apologize for using that. I think what we need to do is find a way to dismantle the strength of the
big tech?
The big tech, their control. See, because quite frankly, that pendulum can swing and big tech can be Trumpers. They're still wrong. If big tech can be Trumpers and sway people to vote for Trump because they scared everybody about Biden, that would still be bad. The problem is that we're having an artificial
But it all boils down to consumerism. You can reject or accept getting the app or reading what's on these apps, or it's still an individual choice.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, you have the right to you have the right to not have electricity in your home, and you don't have to ever turn on the water, and yeah, you don't have to use the roads either. I mean, you could voluntarily stay home.
Equivalent
No,
it's saying
no,
your social media versus
because you're inflation. Because
I'm not trying to argue with you.
No, we're having a conversation. You're not arguing with me. It's a debate. Let's talk about Facebook. Do you like what Facebook did for during this last election? Just in general, do you think Facebook was fair? It's a simple yes or no.
No.
Okay. Are you still on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Okay.
There's a variety of reasons.
Okay. I don't want your why. Can you replace Facebook to do all the things you want to do, whether it's commercial or social? If you got rid of Facebook tomorrow, is there a practical solution?
All right, so my first reaction is that about 3 years ago, there was a point in my life where I said I got to get
So essentially what you're saying is you can't answer a question.
I'm going
to ask, Your Honor, can you please direct the witness to answer?
Permit him to answer because I'm about to answer. So
can you advise the witness that it's a simple yes or no question? Thank you.
I'm just joking.
Go ahead.
It's easy. Well, my first response to the last rant is that it's not a simple yes or no answer.
There never is. Especially with you.
I took I will tell this in the most boring way now possible, just to be spiteful.
Can you wrap it up in the next 15 minutes, please?
Well, about 3 years ago,
Cut off his mic. Let's go.
I purposely went off Facebook for like 6 months, and I actually felt kind of cleansed by it at the time. Okay, but then there were things like, "Oh, I didn't know that was happening." People would ask me, like I didn't know, like, whatever happened in your life, or kid did X or Y, and Z. I said, "Oh, the most efficient way to get everybody to know is Facebook."
So efficient.
Okay.
Electricity is efficient too. It's a great way to run the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Facebook's become a necessity of sorts. No, do I believe everybody can get rid of Facebook tomorrow and you'll live. Everyone will live.
Mm-hmm.
It's not life saving, but Facebook is a lifeblood.
Facebook has done their own studies to make it as addictive as possible.
Oh God, yeah,
Right,
that's
okay.
the business model.
Right.
All of them. Twitter is addictive.
But more in a this is the part, like, I still use it, and I don't like that I use it, and I have purposes for using it, but when you really dig deep, and Tucker's done some of this work, right? You dig deep about, like, where it's intentionally targeting the 12-year-olds and the 13-year-olds to get programmed to think in a certain way.
Sure.
And they all become little raging mini narcissists because they can only think in this tiny little world that's created around them.
Because it's why we don't let little children make very important decisions. Yeah.
Right. Well, this is the age where, oh God, we can get into a much deeper conversation. Where everybody's got to have a job or a career, and so now you have two parents that are working. You got kids that are being babysat by, it used to be the television, which people thought back then was the worst thing.
But now they're grooming our children.
Right. Right. So this kind of dovetails into why I started the shows, because I see my kids all the time on their smartphones that I bought for them, right? And they're constantly digesting whatever media they choose to digest. And I didn't monitor it in a way where I thought you can only download X, Y, or Z if I'm going to be paying for your service. I never made those rules, okay? But if you start choosing media which their friends are absorbing, or their teachers say you should look at, or right, the influence of our educators, then they're only getting this one view 100% of the time.
Right.
Now, when I say this, I'm like, well, don't you just watch conservative news? Don't you just listen to conservative radio? I said, I do, but I didn't start until I was an adult. And I already thought through how I like things and how I feel is the right versus wrong, what works for me politically or ideologically. And so I was in my late 20s when I started deciding this stuff.
Yes. Right. You were formed.
Yes. So I consume what supports my already innate beliefs rather than people are consuming something that they didn't realize they're not choosing over. They just become programmed to like it.
Right. They don't know. They don't realize. There's a point you made there that I think...
Did I take my 13 minutes? All right, I'm going to continue then.
But I think you're not wrong in what you said, because we do only listen. I mean, I do. There's not a chance I'm pulling on MSNBC or CNN. I'm not watching them. But I'm exposed through other things. First of all, my feed on Facebook is littered with all kinds of garbage that I get to see. The conservative sources that I listen to and watch and read also monitor and share that stuff. Granted, I probably won't get the thorough inoculation, but the other thing that happens that I get, and it's not every family, I'm just going to use as an example, but I'm inundated every day with Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and those things. And when I watch the shit they're trying to pour down my children's throats,
Give examples.
oh my god!
This has been many years.
The very last thing. I'll give you the very last thing. Okay. Wow. Several years ago, I literally turned off Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon had Noggin. Do you remember Noggin? It was just like, who was that? It was like a bull or something. Not a bull, I'm sorry. It was like a moose. Anyway, they had this really great children's programming. I don't remember all of it. It's like Blue's Clues and all these types of things. Noggin was only on until a certain time. I don't know what time. Let's call it 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then at that time, it transitioned from Noggin to Nick Teen or Nick Jr. or Nick something. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know the name anymore.
For the slightly older.
Right. And we used to keep that on, and it was just on all the time. Well, one day I got home from work, and I got home from work at a time where it was literally in the middle of the transition, and I got this, we're going away, good night. And there's like this blank screen that, waving goodbye, everybody, good night, go take your bath, blah, blah, blah. Sounds really nice. And then as time rolls on, then the next show pops on. Literally, I am not joking, teenagers walking on the beach, talking about having sex, wearing condoms. This is all on the same channel.
Yep.
Few moments before was Noggin. Now, my kids weren't watching, but how many kids don't know? How many parents don't know? And that's one example. We're talking, I got on the phone, and I reamed them.
Don't know or aren't paying close enough attention.
Right. Look, your kids are in front of the boob tube, and some show is with teenagers walking down the beach. You're just going to turn it off.
I always raise that subtle point that
they're not paying attention. I'm not
there's
trying to blame
consumerism involved.
But I'm not trying to blame the parent. I'm not trying to blame the parent. This is not about what the parents are not observing or should be observing. What I'm saying is, and I'm not even saying it's Nickelodeon's fault, although I do believe it could fall into the grooming category. All of a sudden we go from Rocky and Bullwinkle, which is, all these great little Blue's Clues shows, which has totally changed, and Blue's Clues is now shit. But but yesteryear, it was a good show. Now that we're talking about condoms, I lost my mind. I called Nickelodeon. I was on the phone for hours. I talked to them. I was on hold, not talking. And I didn't give a shit, right? Never changed. So I don't know what my point was on this. Okay, so now that was the example from when my kids were little. Now my kids are much older. And I still have little kids. And I'm watching Disney Junior. And they are gushing because this young artist made this beautiful picture of our vice president. Oh. And Actually, it was a very good picture, by the way. He's a very talented boy. But he happened to be mixed race, and they just made a big gushing of it. Now, of course, when you look at it on its face, you're like, oh, where are you getting off, Jay? Why are you so upset by this? So what? They're celebrating a young boy who has talent, and blah, 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 and diversity, and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You're right. But they didn't do that for Melania. They didn't do that for anything that might be, and that was, I'm not talking about politics. I don't believe children should be inundated with politics. I'm talking about culture, but they're pushing stuff. Do you know that Disney Channel now has a show called Chad? Do you know who Chad is? Chad's an immigrant from, Lebanon.
Okay.
Chad is a she that now wants to be a he.
Okay.
This is whole story about
This is prime time. This is prime time.
I don't know. I'm not watching it. I've just seen the previews. I'm like, oh my god! If this comes in my house, I'll throw the TV out the fucking door. I'm like, it's gone. But my point is, not that there isn't a place for a show like that, but not on Disney Junior. They're literally pumping it down our children's throats. And when you hold positions like I hold, that violates my religious views. No, they are not beholden to my religious views. I'm not saying they should have statues of Mary and should be talking about the Pope, who I don't like anymore anyway, but, sidecar. But my point is, why are they intentionally jamming transsexuality down on preschoolers and middle schoolers? Do you think that's healthy? It changes their outlook on life. It changes them. It molds their morals and their ethics.
But the way, and I keep going back to the way really to effectuate that kind of change is to convince enough people. Turn it off.
Okay.
Right?
I've got an alternate way of doing it. You want to do it? Want to hear it?
Throw a big party in your backyard.
I have a cynical view.
What?
Well, we know that liberals and progressives don't like having children because they don't want to bring children into the world because the world is bad. So we stay conservative. We homeschool our children, which is why I homeschool my children, quite frankly. I control what my children see. I have regular conversations with my children, but I control what my children see. To the extent I can, obviously, with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And I have more children than they do.
Just overpopulate.
We're going to overpopulate them.
Wow.
I have 8. How many? You've got 4.
Yeah.
I take my chances.
So after 4,
I don't know a single person who's progressive. I don't know a single person who's progressive who has even half the number of children I have.
Yeah. Now, if they believe that the world is better the way they like it, then why aren't they having more children? Is it because conservatives have been so successful they hate the world?
Well, it's environmentalism. They believe the world is going to die, so they don't want to bring a child into the world to be subjected to this hate and environmental change.
Sir, do you ever want to have children?
Maybe one.
See, him and his wife have 1. And there you go. That's a depleted population. You should at least have 2.
Okay.
I think every family should have 3.
All right.
But I want conservatives to have 20. I'm joking. That's tongue in cheek.
All right. So we lasted till 8 o'clock, Jason.
It's 7:59. We have 1 minute.
So why did we have to end at 8 o'clock?
I have an obligation. I need to get home because I have to. There's a task I forgot to do before I left work, and it was an obligation I agreed to.
I just wanted to use this opportunity again to say I just think you're a wonderful husband and a great dad.
Thank you. She's not listening, so it doesn't matter. You're not helping me.
That's okay.
It is recorded. She might.
She already
Already sent it a link now.
a great show then.
Fabulous. All right, we are.
Ricardo.
No, we are.
Whiskey Rebellion.
Okay.
This week we're the rum runners.
Pilar.
Rum runners. Pilar.
You gave it a 9.2.
Yeah, I did.
So what was the average?
I don't know, I have to add it up. 9.72 plus half a point.
I was a 7.7.
You were 7.7 and what else did it say? Oh,
14.7 and 9.2.
upper sevens, low eights. Yeah, upper sevens.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, let's do it. Hold on, I'll do it. I have a computer.
This is so important.
7.
Anyone know what the rest of my Pilar?
Plus 9.2. I'll shrink it. You get fat. 29.
I just figured it would be more appreciated by someone that actually enjoys it.
0.2 plus 9.2 equals divided by 3, 7.8.
You were right.
There you go.
High sevens.
Why did you make me pour that?
I'm sorry, man.
Okay, we go to tinkle and I gotta rock.
Okay. All right, yeah, he needs to do that. Great service for the wife and children.
Next week, everybody, Whiskey Rebellion.
Mondays at
Ricardo and Waslick, 352-567-3173 will protect you from debt collectors and foreclosure.
Bam.
Myers Firm. Troubled in your home because of a bad marriage? You go to me, I'll fix it.
Sounds like a
Give me your information. What's your phone number?
www.myersfirm.com. My phone number is 813-985-6550. And next time I'll give you my Instagram and my Twitter accounts.
Tom, take us out.
We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say is homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got me too or rapists. They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we can't be free because we can't see the cage. They knew that a race war would be the game they needed to play for people to 18 things, the media to feed the flame.